So let's break it down for real here. How much is your offer?
It's 150.
And how many of those did you sell?
I sold 2.
And you sold that when you took the challenge?
I did.
Wow. When you talk about AI prompts, when did you start working with it where you're actually an expert?
I used to have to build the macros that scheduled the producers' programming and all of that. The macros is my first foray into it, to where I realized, oh, you could do things that would automate scale things for you.
And if someone is kind of where you were before you joined your first 5K compared to now, how would you describe that?
You always give that space for the person to have their own autonomy.
You said that you sent the offer out and you almost immediately got one person who was very interested in this offer. And then soon after, you got a second person. We talk about that a lot in day 2 and 3, where we talk about social media, we talk about YouTube, LinkedIn. How important do you think building a personal brand is? So let's break it down for real here.
Okay.
How much is your offer?
It's 150.
And how many of those did you sell?
I sold 2.
And you sold that when you took the challenge?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
after I kept on hearing your voice say, "You're not behind," because I had so many other things that kept on coming in, which has been the habit, is that when things would happen, I'd start going on my stuff, and then some things would come up. And so this time I had to make a conscious decision that, okay, keep my thing at the top of the priority to get it done.
Yes.
So yeah, so it was after I started.
Okay. So if someone is not familiar with your first 5K, the club, talk a little bit about it. What drew you to it to begin with?
It's funny enough. I've seen you in interviews before, and then one of my friends and clients said, "Hey, have you heard about Arlen?" I was like, "Yeah, I've heard about Arlen." And so she's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm in her community in this area." And she's like, "I'm in her community and all that." And she's like, "Oh, I think that it would be great for you to pop in here, because of this challenge." And I said, "Okay, great." So she sent me the information, and then I went ahead and clicked on it. And then I saw that you had the monthly or the annual. And the
Yes.
annual was more of a no-brainer for me.
Mhm.
And I hate monthly because I never know when something's coming through. So I'm like, let me just get the annual done.
Yeah.
I've heard your content before. I'm like, it's worth that and then some. So let me just go on ahead and do it. And so that's how I ended up in there. And then I went through, looked at the rules, missed the one about the all caps. So I got
Yeah,
that
we don't like
straight.
an all caps title in our community. Very good. Very good.
Right. But yeah, no, I've been going through there, loving the way that everybody supports each other. I think that
Yeah.
is awesome. Love the way that you show up in there, and then the information that you give. I love the way that you just constantly pour, and that resonates with me because that's how I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like it. $50 today could always go up, but what
Mhm.
is it?
It's mastering AI prompts. It's the beginner's edition, and so we dive into how you think through the AI prompting, how you
Yeah.
structure them, how you set your personas up and all of that, how you anchor. So and it's based on that individual's needs.
Yeah. And so is it delivered through a one-on-one or how is it delivered? This
I
offer.
do a cohort of 1 to 4.
Wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. So it's $150. You're just in this very small group. They get that access to you. Is it delivered over an hour or over time? How does that work?
It's over an hour because I had to make a commitment to myself not to go beyond an hour,
Yeah.
because I will go in there and stay in there for all day.
Yeah.
I love doing that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not.
And a lot of times our clients, we don't realize they just want the answers. They want
Yes,
the solution. So they don't necessarily want to spend 5 hours with us
correct,
necessarily. And
correct.
we think, oh, if we give them more information, if we give them more time, that's it. The value is in that convenience and
Yes,
that shorten that gap to knowledge. That's
absolutely,
usually what helps people. Convenience and
absolutely.
being smarter than they were when they walked in. That's
Yeah.
very good. So $150. When you talk about this 5 day challenge, so day one of the 5 day challenge is come up with your offer. You were talking
Mhm.
about how you used my custom GPT, which is what you get to use when you're inside of the membership. You
Mhm.
use that. You had some back and forth with it, and it had been years of you trying to figure out this exact kind of offer, right? Is that what you said earlier?
No. For years, I've always put my stuff on the back burner and done clients' things. Every time that I would go to do
Oh,
my own personal thing, a client project would come up. So then I'm like, okay, I'll get to that later.
Yeah.
So this go around, I said, this is the later. I'm doing it now. So I jumped into your challenge and leveraged your challenge to force me to do what I was supposed to do for myself for years.
Love that. So day one is figure out your offer. Day two is
Mhm.
promote your offer. Day three is if you don't know who to promote to, how do you build an audience? So I want to talk about this day twos and threes, right?
Mhm.
Because you said that you sent the offer out and
Mhm.
you almost immediately got one person who was very interested in this
Mhm.
offer. And then soon after, you got a second person. Who did you send it to? Like, where did you know to post this?
I sent it to folks who I already knew inside of my
Mhm.
text messages, inside of Facebook groups, inside of Messenger. Folks who
Yeah.
have either A, already purchased from me before, or folks who have expressed an interest in next time that you're doing something, I want to know about it. So I went ahead and did it.
Yeah.
And then folks
Yeah.
that I knew who were in my, contacts list on my phone. So everybody got something from me.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
talk about that a lot in day two and three, where
Hmm.
we talk about, of course, social media. We talk about YouTube, LinkedIn, all of that. But we also talk about the fact that there's somebody in your phone right now who needs what you have to offer. I
Yes.
think for a lot of people, especially people who are a little more seasoned and they have sold before, I think people get a little worried about reputation or about
Mhm.
even that feeling of I'm going to sell to my friends. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. I believe that when you know that you have value to offer, and I know that my training is valuable, then you have a moral responsibility to share with everybody that you know because it's going to help them out. Now, if it's not something that you can see that it's going to help them, okay, then that's probably a problem. You need to work on that. But when you know that, look, by the time that you finish this, you're going to be better off than if you went somewhere else, for one. It's going to get you a deeper sense of whatever it is that that goal or that outcome is. So I think that you just have to have the right mindset about it. If people come over to my house, I'm going to feed them well. So if they
Mm,
come to my training, I'm going to teach them well.
yeah. And when we think about charging money to people we know or just putting ourselves out, like I've heard people say, I can't post on LinkedIn because that's my career. They know me from
Mhm.
my career. I'm going to ruin that reputation. I think today it's like we all know that we can't like count on certain corporations to keep us employed.
No, no,
and
you
and
can't.
people are building personal brands because of it. How important do you think building a personal brand is?
I think it's extremely important, mainly because you're always going to take that with you.
Mm,
You can be inside of a corporation and you could be a great cog in the wheel, and nothing against that. And I think it's great, and wherever you are, be the best you that you can be. But when all is said and done, once you leave that or they exit you from it, if they downsize or whatever the thing is, if you've not built up your own personal brand to where folks know you and they know that you deliver quality in whatever it is that you do, then you have to start over from scratch. And then you still have to either A, fall underneath somebody else's umbrella, or you're going to have to build yourself for other folks to know who you are. So I
hmm.
think that it's extremely important to do that.
Yeah, and you can start off slowly if you don't want to be in direct conflict with your company and like they're looking at you. You can start off slowly. You don't have to necessarily have an offer right away, but start
Hmm.
that thought leadership. Start that having that opinion, forming that opinion, and forming it in real time in public, and it will pay off for you in the long run. That long tail, because you don't know where you're going to be in 5 years. You don't know where any of us are going to be in 5 years, right? So it's important. When you talk about AI prompts, that is what you're working on. How long have you worked with AI?
You know, AI has been around since the 50s, what, late 40s, early 50s. So I've recognized that we've been all working with AI since I started on computers. It's just that the way that it shows up now is a little bit more different. It's more intentional. Folks are realizing what can be done with it. But, so I think that I've always worked with it. They just now have it termed as AI.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then when did you start working with it where you're actually an expert selling this kind of offer?
Hmm, that's a good question. I could say it like this. Okay, so my background is media, and I remember I used to have to. I was interim program director for a major company back in the day when I started out. And I used to have to build the macros that scheduled the producers' programming and all of that. The macros, I think, is my first foray into it to where I realized, oh, you could do things that would automate and scale things for you.
Mm.
So, and I had about 1,500 producers that I was responsible for to make sure that their stuff was airing. So that helped when it came to what we do now. So
Yes.
I just apply what I knew from then to the AI in my questioning and prompting, and it works out beautifully.
Incredible.
Mhm.
And if someone is kind of where you were before you joined your first 5K, just wherever you feel like you had any blocker
Mhm.
compared to now, how would you describe that and what they might get out of it?
I think what you would get out of it is that, well, for one, and I'll say for me, it did encourage me to put my stuff as a priority.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in putting my own thing as a priority and saying, you know what, this is just as important, if not more, than what I do for my clients. Get your thing ready, get it out there so that you can start iterating and reiterating and building it out so that you can have, because I've seen a lot of programs out there and I'm like, I would like to see this in there. So I'm like, okay, I guess it's time for me to create that. So for the person who is starting and just not really knowing, there's so much stuff that you can do that you don't realize that you do it. I say that there's four areas of all possible knowledge: the things that you know, the things that you don't know, the things that you know but you don't realize that they apply to what you're doing, and that the things that you don't have a clue that you need to know, they're not even on your radar. And that's the area of failure. So if you can use what you know and what you don't know and what you know but you don't know how it applies and start to work with those, you can ask, okay, what am I missing in order to affect this change in my marketplace or in my world to solve this problem? And then you can get those answers. You need this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
My name is Jason Hodge, aka the Jason Hodge online, and I joined Arlen's program because a good friend of mine and actually one of my clients, she introduced me to, not introduced me to Arlen. She said, "Hey, do you know about Arlen?" And I had known about Arlen before because I had been watching her on different interviews and things like that. I was like, "Oh yeah, I know about Arlen. She's really good." And so she says, "Oh, well, I'm in her group and I think that'll be great for you to join and all that." I was like, "Okay, sure." She sent me the link to join and I joined and I saw that there was a monthly and there was an annual. And I was like, "Well, let me get the annual because I've already heard Arlen talk. So I know that it's well worth it." And I jumped in and I
Yeah.
have been absolutely elated to be in there.
Yeah. And that 5-day challenge, just speak a little bit to the 5-day challenge and we'll wrap up. Just
Yeah.
speak a little bit and kind of your thoughts of the 5-day challenge, how it's run, how the step by step, how it helped you, that kind of thing.
Yeah, with the 5-day challenge, what I love about it, well, for one, is that it is a short enough period of time to where uh, I was able to make that commitment. And also, what I love in there is the way that Arlen has the community set up, the support in there. I learned quickly about the capital letters. Even when you're excited, don't use all caps. Forget
I'm a stickler for the caps, all caps.
you.
But that 5-day
Yeah, that
challenge,
5-day challenge.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really good because the one thing in there that I love about what you do is you always give that space for the person to have their own autonomy. You know, they get to own their space, own their time frame, even if they don't make the 5-day window. They're not put into the category of you failed and now you can't go
Yes.
back. You
Yes.
all say, "Hey, no, this is not a race." I've heard you say that a few times. This is not a race. You were doing your thing, so just kind of move according to your pace. That helped me because I did not make it in the 5 days. A matter of fact, I think the first day I might have come in halfway through the actual live broadcast. Second and third day, I think I might have missed it, so I caught the replay. Fourth day, I made it in. Fifth day, I made it in, but it was towards the end. So I was so thankful that there was the replays. And then I said, okay, well, good. I still have time to do what I need to do in here. And then it took me a moment to figure out what I was going to do. And that's another thing that your prompt helps out. because when you have had a lot of experiences, and I've been in a lot of different industries through my life, I'm kind of old, or oldish. And so sometimes that can present its own problem of what would I do? So
Mm,
going through your prompts, it was able to help with the categorizing things and then putting them into perspective, because the things that it spit out, I was like, yeah, I can do that, but I don't really want to do that. So I kept on asking it again and again. Well, give me some more, give me some more, give me some more. And finally, there was a few things that it was like, ooh, I could see myself doing that.
yep.
It fits my criteria. It's a short enough time frame, and I enjoy teaching people and seeing the light bulbs go off and them getting results. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go with that one.
Yeah.
That's how
So
it
you
worked
you
out.
built you helped build your offer that you just sold two of in just a few hours, essentially.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just on a radio broadcast where they were asking me about the product, so that went out again. So who knows what's going to
Wow.
come out of that? But it's just really when you talk about the momentum and getting into the momentum, and then you just keep on moving and you keep on building on it. That was freeing. And even though I should know that because I tell my clients that, it's totally different when it's you in the saddle. And so
Yeah.
you gave that space to be able for me to be me and not me to be the media architect. I got a chance to media architect for Jason now.
Mm.